California?
He's just learning that shit now.
That doesn't speak well for the educational system.
No, it's true. It's fucking private school, too.
You may want to talk to the dean, I'm just saying.
Truly.
So one other thing, too, and then we can actually get on to what should be the show.
Then we can get started.
Really. And I swear, we're not trying to mimic Get Old. I don't know if you've noticed the artwork that's been around the shop.
I saw the Batman one, but now I'm focusing on the others. Very nice. Who
Yeah.
did?
Also, I would like to show you.
Harley Quinn. I saw that
Yeah.
at first before.
Wolverine. All of these, by the way, these are made using spray paint.
Yeah.
So it's all
Rattle can.
spray paint. Yeah, and it's actually Rattle Can Heroes is the Twitter name of artist Jonathan Rivera. Jonathan, could you stand up?
And partner in the comic.
I wonder where he is. Oh, and what, Chris?
And partner in the comic book.
There we go.
Yeah.
Why
This
are
shop
you-
would not be here without his help.
You know where we're going. Why are you sitting down?
I'm a little nervous,
Okay, it's all right. It's all right, Jonathan. I understand.
giddy.
It's okay. I've gotten over it. I realized once the whole audio fuck up at the beginning, there was, nowhere to go but up. So, Jonathan, also a big fan, as Trent has said, partner in the shop, and he wanted to show his appreciation to you for everything it is that you do and the entertainment that you bring to people. And so he wanted to go with something that it would evoke emotion for you.
Oh, that's awesome. That evokes emotion. Oh, that's fantastic, dude.
So this is an original piece, and it is for you.
I will put that in my office, no shit. That's beautiful. Thank you for your art. Nice.
I know, I saw it, he said, do you think he'll like it? And I'm like, I like it, I'm gonna fucking steal it. I know that's so not the spirit of Batman.
There was a second where I was like, oh, it's going to be Jay and Silent Bob done in this style. That is 1,000 times better. But then I can't fucking, like, if I look in the mirror, I'm like, oh, it's fucking Silent Bob. So, it's much better to have that. So I can be like, Batman, somewhere else in my house.
Speaking of which, I wanted to ask you about that.
Yes.
Because I can imagine it's difficult for you to just be able to travel. Like, just getting from point A to point B.
Not at all. I've been with, I've been with people.
Right now he's with us.
He's
with all of us.
I've been around famous fucking people, like the aforementioned Affleck, and that dude can't move from point A to B. Like, it's fucking crazy watching him leave his house just to go get a cup of coffee. Because there's like at least 4 paparazzi outside. And they'll just follow him and shit and talk to him. Ben. A lot of people, I guess, have seen now that Jonah Hill video where he was getting, like, taunted by the paparazzi. Same fucking thing. Everywhere he goes and shit. I don't have that at all. I leave my house. The only person barking at me is my fucking dog. Like, from the balcony, like, take me. I'm like, fuck you. Freedom! But if I go to a mall, I would say, like, if I'm at a mall for an hour, maybe 5 people will be like, oh, you know who you look like? You look like Silent Bob. And I'm like, I get that all the time. And they do that for Kevin Smith, too. You look like that guy Kevin Smith. I was like, yeah, it's unfortunate. But if people say, like, are you Kevin Smith? Then I'm flat out like, oh, yeah, absolutely. So, but generally speaking, so manageable, like 5 people. If I go to a comic book convention, that's different. Like, depending on where you go to the mall, there's a few people recognize. You go to the food store, more people recognize because your people are like, right? So that's how you build that body. But beyond that, it's like if you're smart enough to stay out of places where you're not able to kind of move around very well. A comic book convention would definitely be one. And pretty much that's it. That's the only place that I really have to kind of go through the back hallways and stuff. Even at a movie, a film festival, it's not nearly the same thing. I can move around pretty well because they're like, oh, there's that guy who was good once, and then they leave you alone. So it's very simple for me to get around. I was just talking to you earlier today about Jason Mewes traveling with me, and Mewes is ironically enough the one that doesn't get recognized. So people will come up to me, and then I'm always like, hey man, did you see the other guy right there? And then they're like, holy shit, it's him and shit. He's like, oh, why'd you bring me into it? And then we do the picture taking affair. But there's one today who came over, we were at the airport, and he was like, hey man, can we take a picture? I said, yeah, totally, we took a picture. when we were done, I was like, the other guy's right there, and I was like, yeah, I don't want to bother him. And then they went away, and I was just like, well, why am I bothering him?
Respect for Jay.
Totally. It's like, that guy's an artist, you?
Well, there was another guy in Starbucks that came up to Jason, and at first, I mean, you couldn't understand what he was saying. He's like, I don't mean to bother you, but he mumbled it, and Jay thought he was asking if he could borrow him, and I'm like, no, we need him for later. You can't.
He's like, we borrow people in Utah. Sometimes we never give them back.
Well, I thought...
Goodbye, horse.
Anyway, so with this, though, when he was going through that ordeal, first of all, don't ever go up to anybody and say, I don't mean to bother you. Yes, you fucking do. That's why you're doing this. So don't approach people.
Put it on Front Street. They're like, I'm bothering the fuck out of you.
It's like verbally flicking them in the tit, just walking up.
And look, I can speak for my low level on the totem pole, grade Z celebrity, but I can speak for everyone all the way up the totem pole. It takes no time to sit there and be like, hey man, how are you? And interact with people. Even if you're in a fucking rush for fucking plane, even if you take a few seconds to explain that, like, I would totally sit here and fucking bullshit with you, but I'm about to miss the plane, blah, blah, blah. Everybody deserves the moment because somewhere in the past, they took a moment on you. Whether it be like $5, $10, or they got their friends together, or they fucking went to see Cop Out and felt fucked over. Everybody has kind of given you their moment, and you feel like it's not a big deal to sit there and be like, all right, here's your moment back. It's also just fucking smart business sense, because like if you sit there and chit-chat, take a picture and blah, 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 you become a great story for the next 2 months and an Instagram thing, and that's just free advertising, right? Nothing wrong with that. If you say no, that person goes and tells everybody they know until the day they fucking die. So like, I met that clerk's guy and he was a fat jerk off the head. You know, fucking close the casket on him. So you always you always want to make sure that, like, you know, give everybody the moment. Try to hold it together so fucking. So for me, it's not a big deal. I mean, I don't want it to seem like it's brand management. It's nice to meet people who are saying like, oh my God, this movie meant this to me, or oh my God, this kid's, because people are really honest. They don't just come up and be like, hey man, let me shake your hand. Oh, I fucking stick pumped you. You know. I had that coming, I guess. Generally, it's people who will share something. I think because of the podcast, they'll share something incredibly personal with you, or, you know, how something you did got them through something. And that's like, who doesn't want to hear that? Like, I'll fucking walk for the rest of my day with a spring in my step. And I got a good life, a happy life, and I get to do what I want and shit. But just like every other human being, like, there are moments where I'm like, I'm a big, fat fucking loser. And then the internet underlines it's like, yes, you are. So, like, you know, there's not every day that you feel fresh. Sometimes you need like, a big life douche. And somebody coming up to you and going like, oh, my God, that fucking thing you did, you know, whenever it was, that meant the world to me. That like, suddenly you're like, oh, yeah, fucking, I feel pretty good about myself. So it's free. Like, why would you ever pass that up? And we have friends who are, you know, far more popular than us who do that sort of thing. And it fucking bums me out no end, because I always feel a sense of responsibility. Not like, you know, I brought you into this world, but I worked with all these cats, and so, like, when you work with them, you kind of, there's a top-down mentality. You hope the good shit rubs off. So